Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now.
Hello, everybody. We are back. We're not as smiley today, you will know. How is everybody, first of all?
Yeah, I'm good. COVID free. The house is COVID free. All negative. So yeah, it's been a fairly decent weekend for me. Yeah, I'm good fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Richie,
from a personal point of view,
I'm all right. Newcastle played well. Can't
complain.
Yeah. No, can't
Well,
complain.
you can, but that's up to
but that's not about the team, is it? So it's
no.
There's the days have gone by where we've actually been sick of performances and all that sort of thing, and it's just you can only complain about stuff you know that's in your own hands, and unfortunately, it's been stuff that's been out of our hands.
Cool. Pete, all good?
Yeah, all good. Lots to be proud of today.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get into it.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. And first of all, walk you through the game. And yeah, the team was announced. Massive changes in the team. Manquillo, Lascelles, Sean Longstaff, Bruno in from the start, Kraft, Shelby, J7, Fraser, Willock, and OASM. Well, he came on as a sub later on in the game. Of course, then this is a Chelsea team, and this was all played out under the backdrop of Chelsea's future ownership and the sanctions imposed on Roman Abramovich. So yeah, we were kind of set up in a kind of 5-4-1-ish kind of, or maybe it kind of went slightly more attacking when we were on the counter. But yeah, and Char was in the middle, so we were kind of set up for a draw. We nearly achieved that objective, really. Yeah. So who's in the house? Amanda and Myriad were in the house as well. Team, as you can see, lined up there, and as always, under the new ownership, a united front. Okay, let me get into the game. So,
just before you get into the game, can you put the picture of Amanda up again?
Sure. Yeah.
I was about to say, is that our good friend Andre being our bodyguard with the umbrella?
It does look like Andre. I think Andre is probably pretty busy these days. But,
either that or it's Trippier on fucking steroids.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Look at Alois showed up at Eddie Howe's first appearance. So you never know. It could have been Andre or Andre's brother or someone like that. Okay, so early doors. Chelsea has got a few corners. Was battling open in 15 minutes or so. Newcastle putting Chelsea under pressure, closing down space, a lot of pressing. That was pretty good. Carried out right through the game. Some set plays from the Eddie Howe playbook. Nice to see. What was nice to hear was the chants from the crowd. Mike Ashley, he's coming for you. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Then we'll get on to one of the main talking points. And I'm going to stop here in my summary of the game and talk about, the assault on Dan Burn from Kai Havertz. So I have a few pictures of this here. Elbow into the face, and of course the result was a yellow card, and nothing VAR was given, nothing else either. Thoughts on this first, lads? And I'll play a few more pictures. Pete, we'll go to you first.
How can I put it into like nice words other than that it's a fucking disgrace that was not a red card? I don't understand how they've got that wrong. People are kind of and ahhing about it being a yellow card and it just being okay. That's not okay. It's not okay on two levels. One, because if you look at that picture right there, his elbow is higher than his actual head. It's above his body. If that ball touches his hand, it's a free kick. Why? Because his arm is in an unnatural position. His elbow is in an unnatural position. Yes, you jump to elevate to get height, but not at that angle. The second thing is that actually it's a danger to the opposition player, because if you look from the other angle, where he connects, that's the temple right there. That could have been serious. In that could have knocked him out flat. He could have landed on his neck funny, or he could have landed funny and been completely out of the game. And I tell you what, if it had been knocked out and it had been stretched off, they'd have given him a red card then. The fact that Dan Burn is a big solid bastard like he is and got up and carried on the game is the only reason why they've given him a yellow card and not a red card. It's an absolute disgrace that hasn't been, and it changes the game. We're already comfortable in the game. We're already playing better than them, although they have more possession. That happens there, and they go down to 10 men. Not only does it give us the emphasis on the game, it changes the way in which they make their subs later on in the game. It changes everything. It's an absolute joke.
You're right, Pete. It was an absolute joke, and apologies to anyone who thinks I'm underwater. Not yet. But Richie, we'll go to you. And your thoughts on the tackle, the assault on.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely wasn't a tackle. If that was a tackle, it would be a red card straight away without question. But to be fair, yeah, it was an assault. It's like, you look at what was said in the in Sky Sports. That was mixed, and it was, to be fair, it was only really Micah Richards who sort of defended him by saying he needed to get elevation. Pete's right though. Yes, you do use your arms to get elevation, but you don't do it with your elbows out. Do you know what I mean? That's a weapon, as Pete said. You've got to look at how tall Dan Burn is, and he's jumping as well. And Havertz isn't anywhere near as tall as him. And the fact that his elbow is like that, it's aimed upwards. Yes, okay, Dan Burn's arm underneath it, but it doesn't make a difference. His elbow is pretty much it's above his own head. It's above his own Havertz's own head height. So it's going straight into, it's dangerous going into his temple. And the thing is though, and if it hadn't been Dan Burn, that this is why they always turn around and say something when there's like a foul on a certain player. They always tend to see, is it someone who dives a lot? Whether it's like a penalty or whether it's a yellow card or whatever. Dan Burn doesn't go down easily. It takes a lot for Dan Burn to go down. So the referee should have been straight over there straight away and looking and thinking, bloody hell, this must be sees if Dan Burns down, because everyone knows, he's been playing for Newcastle now for 6 weeks, and we all know he's a hard nut to crack. Do you know what I mean? He'll run on bloody fumes if he had to through brick walls for us. But to see something like that and him go down that bad, the referee should realise it's serious, and how he can't class that as dangerous and reckless is beyond me. The fact that VAR don't even then turn around and say, look, I think you need to go and look at it again. It's, I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
Martin, your thoughts?
I think the easiest thing to say is if that was Chris Wood and he did that to Rudiger or one of the players from Chelsea, he'd have been sent off straight away. So if that's any other player in a black and white shirt that does that same thing, it's absolutely a red card. So from that perspective, I think it was. Listen, I think Pete makes a good point, and I heard it on one of the shows earlier on as well. Havertz didn't need to know where the player was; he knew where he was. So the fact that he was up with his elbow in such an unnatural position, and it wasn't like it was forearm or the top part of his shoulder, it was the elbow point. It's like that. Yeah. It's an unnatural position. Leverage for a player jumping into the air. Most of us on this show at some point, younger days, older days, have played football. If you're jumping for a header, your leverage, your arms are like that, or at best you're like that. And that's the leverage when you go up. It's not like that. Yeah. It was naughty. It was a naughty hit from Havertz. He knew what he was doing. And he took Dan Burn out. I think the referee, David Coote, is it? I think he had an awful game. I think he was yet again another example of why there are major issues in PGMOL, that the referees in this league are substandard and cannot do their jobs correctly. It was just yet another idiosyncrasy of piss poor decisions we've had go against us. Now, listen, just before everyone gets excited, other clubs are getting the same decisions. It's not just Newcastle, right? The officiating across the league has been dreadful this season and is only getting worse. But by God, we've had some real doozies this season that have gone against us. That for me, and I actually got a tweet from our good friend Keith Hackett, who confirmed literally straight away that is as blatant a red card as you will ever see for dangerous play. So it's a shocking decision.
I think that what the difference is, what you say about, there's a lot of people, it is going against a lot of teams as well, and I agree with that. But it's the amount of clear cut decisions that are going against Newcastle, stuff that VAR aren't even telling to go and look at it, or VAR are just siding with whatever the referee's decision is. Like the old pals brigade sort of thing. Oh, well, I can't really undermine, the match official. It shouldn't be like that. It should be there. The person should be there to turn and say, like, I know we're going to talk about the penalty coming shortly. And you'll see on that, and I don't know if Daz has got a picture of it, but you look at the position. All right, you've got the positioning of David Coote, right? And I know it's been on Twitter. He's got about 4 players in the way. He guessed it was a corner. He didn't even turn around and ask VAR to get involved. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's absolute disgrace. But as he said, Keith Hackett came out straight away. It's blatant VAR decisions that they're not getting involved. It's not being implemented correctly. It's a great tool. Don't get me wrong. If it was implemented properly, it would be fantastic. But the amount of noise,
but the people using it, Richie, unfortunately, are not doing their job correctly.
I'm not. We'll go back to a couple of weeks ago with the Everton game in Man City. That was a blatant penalty. That you look at that, that could be a point for Everton. That could come in handy down, in a few months' time when it gets down to the end of it. They're above the relegation now on goal difference.
I think the big thing that we're missing here, though, is it's costing clubs points. It's that cost us a point today.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
to be fair, no, it's
maybe
probably
not more.
No, we could. I think we would have probably got 3.
Absolutely,
because you'd have been down to 10 if he'd been sent off, and then you get the penalty and you're 1 up against 10 men.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, look,
your bottom dollar, it was going to be him to score. I text Daz in the chat, and I went, if there is no justice in this world, Havertz will score the winner.
And then 10 minutes later he scored. It was an earlier time.
It's your fault, Martin.
You could see it coming, Richie. The fact that he hadn't gone off the pitch, you could see who was going to score.
Yeah. And on VAR as well. Look, it was crap last season. They tweaked it a bit where they made the lines thinner, didn't they, as well, or thicker, or whatever way to in the whole offside situation for goal. So yeah, they need to tweak it up now again and to use it more and to overrule some of the decisions on the pitch, because we're going to be getting onto another one in a second now, which I know Eddie Howe on the elbow situation, he kind of said there, look at that could have gone either way, but the next one coming up was blatant. So look,
say though, Dad, sorry, just before you jump into that, I think the reaction from Dan Burn when he was on the floor when Havertz was stood over him, and his reaction to to Havertz and to Jorginho in the middle, I think he was absolutely within his rights to stand up and point a finger in the way that he got elbowed in the head. Because I tell you what, as Pete said, and Richie, he's a hard nut to crack. I tell you what, he had some crack on his head.
But this is the point, and this is what they talked about in the Sky Studios, in that they said that it wasn't intentional. Havertz came out in the interview afterwards and said he's not that type of guy. That was exactly his intention. He did that on purpose. No, I don't care what anybody says. He intended to do that, because if you've watched that game, that other 38 minutes up until that point, right, he was having his pants pulled down by not only Dan Burn but Fabian Schär, and Jamal Lascelles. He wasn't getting any joy whatsoever from those centre-backs. And he was frustrated. And what do you do on the football pitch when you're frustrated? You hit out. And that's exactly his intention. That was exactly what he wanted to do, because he knew he had no chance of winning that ball. No chance whatsoever. You look at where the ball is, you look at where his elbow is, you look at where his head is, Kai Havertz's head. It's nowhere near the ball in terms of being in a position to genuinely win it. And he knew it. So what he wanted to do, he wanted to stick one on the defender. I'm not saying he tried to intentionally get him in the temple, but he wanted to stick one on the defender to prove a point. But what he's done something that could have caused serious harm to him. It's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, but and you know the thing, Pete? It's not the first time Havertz has done this. He's done it. He's got past history for little niggly kicks and ankle wraps down the back of the Achilles and different bits and pieces before throughout his Chelsea time, and I've seen it season and season again, and he doesn't get dealt with.
And to take the biscuit even further, he's quoted then after the game with big defenders that tried to foul us. Yeah, Havertz.
He's nowhere near the ball. His elbow's nearer the ball than his head is.
Yeah, look at that. That's shocking.
After Dan Burns headed the ball away. He had no intentions of getting that ball. He knew he wasn't going to get it, but he wanted to stick one on Dan Burn because of his frustrations of the fact that he was getting marked out the game. Left, right, and centre. Ball into feet, up in the air, ball in behind. We had them nailed down. And he's not used to it. Kai Havertz is used to having his own way, movement, time on the ball, chances in front of goal. He got none of it up until that point, and that is what he did on purpose. Nobody can tell me that any different.
No, that our back three had him in his, the back pocket today. He didn't get his sniff at all, and that's why he resulted in doing that, just to try and let him know he was there. He was going to he might as he did at the end, he'll deliver something at some point, so they can let them know not to relax. I think it was just disgraceful, absolute disgrace. But it's funny, just Lisa actually put in a good thing, but as we're discussing on VAR and we're still on the topic, it's the refs that need to be held accountable, and they're not going to change until it's actually done. And we discussed this when we talked about the Keith Hackett show in December. Why don't they mic the referees up? Then you can hear what the discussions are, and then it leaves it's open for discussion. We can hear what's going on. There's nothing behind closed door. There's nothing. You can't have the conspiracies and the cartel six getting the big decisions in games and stuff like that. Then you can turn around and say, well, if you hear what someone says, then you can turn around and say, well, hold on, that's not the case. When we're doing a review show like this, or it's in the media or whatever, I think that needs to be brought in for next year, but also someone from a change at the top of VAR as well.
And PGM oil as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Next up, we had Miggy's volley, and there was a decent volley, and then Char's follow-up volley after that. Then it was straight into half-time. Then came out in the second half, and Bruno fizzed a shot across goal. Werner had a chance when Makio played him onside, and he just kind of ran away from him. He's having no luck at all, actually, Timo Werner. The penalty claim then, where the big one, the big talking point, where this challenge from Chalobah on Murphy went to VAR, looked at it, jersey pull, and kind of pushing over. And I do have a little clip here as well that I want to play before I go to you first, Martin, to talk about this one. But I just want to play this, and I know you want to talk about the rest view as well, but this is just something I put together. Just slow it down. So you see here, one pull, and here's another one, pull again before Murphy is taken down. So anyone that didn't see it, blatant. And that's my VAR. I did that in 5 minutes. So and I put it together. I wasn't
not let the time of a proper VAR decision as well, Jazz.
Come on,
that's not VAR. That's DAR.
I could run VAR and I'll charge half the price. Anyway, Martin, we'll go to you first and thoughts of that.
That's as blatant a penalty based on the rules of the book that you will ever see probably this season. And I think the line that came from VAR, and I'm sure anybody in the chat or otherwise will correct me, was that they said, other than the shirt pull, they didn't see any natural reason for Murphy to go down in the challenge, and therefore the penalty was not awarded. But is shirt pulling in the box not a penalty award? My understanding is it is, because that's a foul. So despite VAR saying that the shirt pull was there, it wasn't enough for him to fall the way that he did. So therefore they did not award the penalty, and it wasn't relooked at. It's the biggest crock of fucking shit you will ever hear. So whoever was in VAR today, it was a disgraceful call. Again, you know, we've spoken about VAR time and time again. And again, I'll reiterate, we're not the only club getting bad decisions. There are others. It just so happens to be that normally the top 6 are not getting them. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But it was blatant. So if you're not going to apply the rules, again, if that was in the Newcastle box and that was a pull on Werner or Havertz or Lukaku, that's a penalty given all day long. And either a yellow or a red. So why VAR couldn't pull that back? And I think, Daz, have you got the picture of the referee? Please, if you would throw that up. So this is the referee's view at that moment of the pull from Chalobah on Murphy. So you can see he's got Chalobah, he's got Murphy at the bottom end, he's got Chalobah in front of him, he's got 2 more Chelsea players, plus a Newcastle player, which I think is Bruno on the edge, all in a line in front of him. So he is completely obstructed to that penalty. But it was looked at. And it was adjudged that even though the shirt pull was there by VAR, it was not worthy of a penalty because of the way that Murphy went down.
Let's just see it one more time.
Yeah, pull. And he doesn't even get near the ball. It's a clear and blatant penalty. And to be fair, you know, give credit to the panel that were on Sky Sports this afternoon. You know, if Jamie Redknapp will sit in that studio and go, that's as blatant a penalty as you'll ever see. If he's saying it, then it's a penalty. And it was a penalty all day long. We know it was. So, yeah, look, again, we can rattle on about VAR, but it's the standard of refereeing, really. They're the guys that are in control. Anybody that watched the rugby yesterday, obviously England-Ireland yesterday, you know, first 2 minutes or first 3-4 minutes of the England-Ireland match yesterday, there's a high tackle on one of the Irish players from one of the England players. Referees get together. It's played back multiple times on the screen. The entire stadium can see it. The referee is talking to the VAR room. It's reviewed. It's pulled back. A decision is made, and the decision is administered on the field. And England lost a player for dangerous play. All through that, you can hear the communication. You can hear the VAR room to the referee. It's such a way better system so that fans understand the reasons for it and why there's a card, why there isn't a card. But at least the decisions are checked. They're run back multiple times. The referee is coinciding with the linesman to get varying different opinions on it. And yet we've got a fucking dickhead who's running a game, who's got 5 players in front of him who can't see, and then a VAR panel, not even in the stadium, who are going, sorry, that was a bit of an unnatural fall, even though he pulled his shirt. No penalty. It's baffling. But if that was any other paid profession, Pete's a teacher, I work in logistics, Daz makes slides for the show, you know, you'd be like, Pete, honestly, you'd be fucking sacked, would you not? If your performance was that consistently bad in any area, you'd be warned and you'd be let go.
The issue that you've raised, Mark, is a more than valid one. The only thing that I'll pose to you is you've got to ask the question why they've not done it already. Now you're talking about, you know,
because they don't want to be found out, and they don't want to be held accountable. If the referee makes a bad decision in rugby, and he makes that call wrongly or rightly, he's the ultimate man responsible. PGMOL do not want to do that. Mike Riley does not want his lads at the front of the brunt of it. answering for their mistakes, and that's why they'll never mic up, in my opinion.
So that's one of the reasons why. Like, well, when these things happen, and that rugby have got where the referee, where you can hear the referee from an audio point of view talk through why the decision's been made, and that's not new. That's been happening for years now. Like when you know that there's other things in other sports, certainly in other sports in this country that it's not taking place, you've got to ask the question why. And it goes back to the point that I made a couple of months ago with regards to, and it's quite an out there thought about football in general, but I am becoming increasingly convinced that these decisions about audios, about VAR aren't being kind of constructed or improved because it takes away the control that not only Sky and the media have, but also the Premier League have in terms of how certain teams are perceived in the season. So when you've got a really entertaining game, but you want it to go a certain way, that's their way of controlling things. If everything was as it should be, right, you're probably not going to get a top 4 race. You're probably not going to get a title race, particularly with some of the decisions that have been made. You're not going to get a bottom 4 race, which provides entertainment for the country and provides great service for the likes of BT.
It doesn't fit the agenda of a business.
They want certain teams to be up there. You go back and you have audios for referees and you have VAR 10, 15 years ago. You don't have a top 4. Because there are teams that have pushed the top 4 or supposed top 6 in the last 10 or 15 years. And actually, from that point of view, right, there wouldn't be a top 6 or a top 4 because other teams would have broken that up by their own genuine successes. One of them in years gone by. If it wasn't for certain results and certain decisions going against us, we'd have got top 4 under Alan Pardew. Would have got higher in the league and done even more in the league if it was given years ago before Mike Ashley. They create it for a certain way. I'm convinced of it, and nothing's going to change my mind on the fact that they are in some way, shape, or form, not every game, but in certain games, they are using it as an opportunity to manipulate results for their own agenda, to have something to talk about. It is cut and dry. It is cut and dry because otherwise, why wouldn't you have it? Why wouldn't you have the audio so you can hear what the referees are saying? Why wouldn't you have, the referee, for example, as standard procedure, go and look at the VAR? Why isn't the referee not looking himself and wanting to look at VAR so he knows he can make the right decision for himself? Why is he allowing someone in a mobile cabin to make a decision for him? You've got to look at all of these facts. Why is it that in one game today, I'm not using an example for today, but say, for example, Everton Wolves. Why is it that in Everton Wolves today, I'm not saying this happened, but it's an example, that a referee can be told to go and look at the monitor? Or, okay, let's use Arsenal Leicester, for example, for the Seonchu handball. Why is it that the referee's been told to look at that as a handball that is then given as a penalty, which puts Arsenal 2-0 up? But yet a Stonewall penalty there with a clear pull, and you can see it from Sky replays. Why isn't the VAR asking that referee to go and look at exactly the same type of situation? Why are they not matching up? There has to be a reason for it. There has to be a standard rule that at that point, a referee needs to look at it. Why don't they do it? Because they are trying to manipulate results of certain games to go a certain way. You imagine how it would have looked to the press after all this talk of Chelsea, all the talk of Chelsea falling apart, maybe not even be able to afford their players' wages in the next couple of weeks. How would it have looked for Sky and all the build around this game for Newcastle to come there, right, and nick 3 points off them and actually play them off the pot tactically and on the ball? How would that have looked for Chelsea? That would have put them even more in the shite, and it would have put question marks about them as a top 4 candidate, because there are a number of clubs, Man United, Arsenal, and I think West Ham, they're on their tail. They had to have something that put Chelsea in a positive light because they've been shut on for the last 3 days. What better way to do that? Stop Newcastle getting the 3 points. Allow the goal scorer who should have been sent off to score the winning goal. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's shit.
Yeah, I agree, mate. 100%.
Richie, we'll go to you and your thoughts on our penalty that we didn't get.
I think the lads have said it for us, haven't they? No, I think
Anything else you'd like to talk about, Richie? So
no, just if you put the picture up of you know what you talked about, where you've got the 4 defenders blocking the eye line. Now for me, obviously this is bad officiating for David Good, because he should be able to see every single thing that happens on the pitch. So his position there is abysmal. But what he should do is he's guessed on a corner, what the decision is. How can he see that's a corner there and not a foul? If you look at really realistic, so he's guessed it's a corner. He should be turned on. If everyone's got up in arms like the Newcastle players, all appealed for it, he should have the common sense to turn around on his mic and say, "Look, I haven't seen it properly. Can you tell me? Do I need to go and look at the monitor or whatever?" And you know what? But I want, as I say, we haven't got the mics to actually. They've got mics, so we should be able to hear what they're saying anyway. Full stop. But he should have the common sense, and if he's carrying out his job properly, because he wasn't in a position to see that properly, he should be talking and saying, "Look, I need your opinions. Do I need to go and look at that?" If he turns down, you can actually hear him say that. Then you turn around and VAR come back and say, "No, there's nothing clear and obvious." But then, if he didn't see it, how could then it be classed as clear and obvious because he hasn't seen it? If he gets the TV camera views that we all had, and he goes and views that monitor, there's no way he can't give a penalty. There's no way. And if you actually remember going to the commentary as well, about, was it a minute or so afterwards, there's a foul on Matty Target outside the box, and the commentators actually turn around and say, "Well, they couldn't give that for the penalty before, so they can't give a free kick there." And then they actually give, then someone goes on top of Target, and then Target gets foul, gets the free kick. It was even just bizarre little decisions like that.
Yeah, it went the other way. Yeah.
Right. He got fouled twice. Obviously, I understand that they said you can't give the first one if you don't give the penalty. But then Target gets pushed down onto the ball, and lad falls on top, but we get the free kick against this. That just goes to show that Keith Hackett's right what he said on these tweets today. There's only 2 officials that you could rely upon on a daily basis in the Premier League, and that's Anthony Taylor, and unfortunately one that we will never get referee again because the Newcastle fan is Michael Oliver. So you're saying that you've got a Premier League panel of 25 referees and only 2 are good enough to officiate at that standard.
Just to add, Tony Finney says the point here, and I'll take it off for a second. He said Chalobah never touched the ball. The argument during that incident was that the referee felt that Chalobah got the ball, which is why he signalled for the corner. At that point, the referee should be saying, did Chalobah get the ball? At that point, they need to look at that and say he didn't get the ball. At that point, then the referee needs to be going, okay, well, maybe I need to look at this, because why has he gone down the way he has when Chalobah hasn't got the ball? Because let's face it, if you look at the positioning at that point in time, Jacob Murphy's beating. He's ahead of him in the box. He could be cutting inside. He could be playing that back for Wood or someone arriving on the edge of the box. He's in control at that point. So it's not a difficult situation there, but you've got to ask questions about VAR, about why they're not communicating that with the referee. But equally, you've got to look at the referee and say, why is he not asking that question? It's all right him saying he gave the decision for a corner because he thought Chalobah got the ball. But if VAR then say he didn't get the ball, there's something then to look at. And that's where the conversation needs to be had. Clearly, it's not being had for whatever reason, but I'm convinced that they did not want to give Newcastle anything of any note in serious positions of where we could hurt them. Because you know what? And it goes back to the overall point. They didn't expect us to come and play the way that we did today, but we did. We expected us to go and play that way because that's how we've been playing for 9 games. Right, they did not expect it, and even Thomas Tuchel said exactly the same before the game when he saw that how we were set up. Yeah. He wasn't expecting it. Nobody's expecting Newcastle to play the way we're playing because for so many years, 14 years, we go to places like Stamford Bridge and we roll over. We didn't roll over today.
The problem is, though, Pete, you're saying about that David Could gave the corner. We've seen from that picture. There's no way he can say it's if he can't say it's a penalty, he can't say it's a corner. He's guessed the decision. And to be fair, You wouldn't. You would tell it to corner if the ball deviates. The ball doesn't deviate. How many times have we had discussions when we've looked at VAR and is it a foul or is it a booking or whatever by ball deviation? The ball doesn't even deviate. So how can you give a corner? He's guessed a decision, and this is the problem. You can't guess at this level, as you said. People's livelihoods are at stake. Clubs couldn't. Obviously, we know Chelsea are going through stuff money-wise for a different reason, but there's clubs who could get relegated. That can cost hundreds of millions to the club, but it also goes on to stuff like people that training grounds like cleaners and groundsmen and whatever will lose their jobs because the football clubs can't afford to run them anymore. And you've got to get out of that. You've just got to make a decision on what you see and not with who's involved, either which team it is or who the foul's on or whatever. You've got to give, honestly, what you see and what the actual decision is. You can't turn around and think, it might be this, I think it's a corner, I'll give a corner. You couldn't say it was a corner. It's just a blatant guess. And that's the worst sort of officiating, when you guess something.
Yeah. We happy to leave the penalty incident, so? We want from
that.
It's not going to change, is it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say happy. It's not going to change. No, yeah, exactly.
Okay, the next thing I'm going to say is there was about 200 people watching this. So, hit that subscribe button, red button, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and hit that like button as well. Push us up the algorithm. Right, so moving on from there. So there was the Timo Werner penalty incident as well, where Dubravka brings it down. I know I thought, oh shit, it's a clear penalty here. Like we're fucked. But luckily enough, this is where VAR did help us. He was offside, definitely offside. Then there's a few subs for Chelsea. Lukaku and Kovacic came on. Same come on for us. Havertz's header that was straight at Dubravka as well in the 78th minute. And look at that, fast forward here. We all know what's coming. There was a Shara header as well that went straight at the keeper as well in the 85th minute. But Havertz's goal on the 88th minute, which in fairness, it was a class goal. There was some control to bring the ball down. Then Byrne played brilliant all game, and it was just unlucky that he got away from that particular point. But the control was brilliant. The finish was good. Anthony, you want to say about the goal, lads?
Look, it was you could write it in the cards who Havertz was going to score. The fact he hadn't gone off the pitch, shouldn't have been on the pitch. Simple as that. If you wanted to be overly critical, you could say, it was probably the one time Dan Burn switched off. Havertz got away from him. But you know what? I'm not going to have a dig at the defence because I think they played magnificent for 90 plus minutes. Listen, a bit of loose legs, bit of tiredness, bit of lack of concentration, whatever. I think Pete's point is right. Nobody expected Newcastle, other than Newcastle fans and that team in black and white, to turn up at Stamford Bridge today. And, from the one song that we did hear the Chelsea fans singing in the 92nd minute, the first time we actually heard Chelsea fans for the whole game, we are the champions of Europe. Well, you didn't fucking play like it for 91 minutes. I'll tell you that, because you were played off the park by the boys from Tyneside, because they were magnificent throughout the game. And I think it will be massively, massively unjust to have a dig at Dan Burn or Shaw or Lascelles or Dubravka or any of that back five, to be fair, for losing Havertz. Look, quality finish, one touch, and then side foot in. It was a brilliant, brilliant finish. But listen, we played them off the park. And, I for one, was more than impressed and happy with the attitude, the desire, the pressing, and the effort that went in from those boys that came on and the subs. And I think we play like that. And a couple of people back in the team on Thursday night, I think we bounced fucking Everton right into relegation. So I'm well looking forward to that game. But yeah, I thought they were great. It will be really, really hard to attribute blame to anybody, but look, good finish from Havertz, but he shouldn't have been on the pitch. Simple as.
That would be a nice Paddy's Day little treat.
That would be a lovely Paddy's Day, yeah. So come on, NUFC, if you fancy hooking me and Daz up, please. Fucking hammer them on Thursday.
Richie, we'll go to you next on the goal.
Well, it's as Martin said, if anyone was going to score, it was going to be Havertz, and it's just, it's our luck, the fact that he shouldn't be on the pitch. He gets the winner. Don't get me wrong; it's a lovely bit of skill by him. You know what I mean? To bring a ball down from that height and dead weight, and then actually put us in, with the same foot past the keeper. As Martin said, you can't blame Dan Burn. He's had a tremendous game. Bear in mind, he's probably played 3/4 of that game with a starting headache. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to concentrate through that as well, it's you can see the clear injury he had to. It's on his temple as well, so his head's going to have been buzzing. You've got to think as in, how do we know he wasn't suffering, with the concussion protocols and stuff like that? And I know he's a big tough nut, as we've discussed already, but how's to say that he hasn't battled through with, a headache for the whole time? And to concentrate for, that length of time, 3/4 of the game, with constant pressure to play as well as he did, and he literally, you talk about, it's not even half a second, it's a quarter of a second. He was, you could see him try to line the defense and making sure everyone was, and he just missed when that ball was played by the fraction of a second. And that fraction of a second was all that Havertz needed. And that's what happens when you get world-class international players. You can't give them that little bit of time, unfortunately. It happened, but you can't fault the lads. You know what I mean? They give 110% a day. We knew the setup was going to make it difficult. I know Peter might touch on this as well. There's the amount of times when we were behind the ball, and you could throw it, as that old expression, you could throw a tea towel over the whole the team. Everybody was under it, especially in the first half and the start of the second half. So it was hard to break us down. The team played from front to back. I thought the press today was phenomenal by the front three in particular. It caused them loads of problems, because even though they were constantly wanting to play out from the back, and we constantly got at them, and they just didn't like it, but they kept on going. And it was, I think the press lost a little bit in the second half that the ASM comes on, because I think that's one of his weaknesses. He doesn't do the press very well, and you can't organise. I think we've touched on this before in previous shows. That's his downside of his game. He doesn't press. He doesn't commit to the cause. He loves going forward, but when we're defensively, he doesn't sort of do it. But we rattled.
He did a bit more today, Rich. Though I did see him tracking back at one stage.
Yeah, he was. I think it was
he did a bit more.
Last 10 minutes or so, you did see him a bit more helping target out. But when he first came on, after about the first 10, 15 minutes, that
yeah, I know what you mean.
If you're going to do that high press, you've all three of you, the front three people, have got to commit to it. And unfortunately, he doesn't always 100% commit to it. So that also, if he's not going to track back, it means you're bringing yourself pressure down that flank as well. The amount of times that we've been overloaded on the left flank throughout the season, it's, I think Yano made a good point at the very, very start of the show in the comments, where he said, everybody would be gutted to sell ASM, but you can't have a player that's only committed going one way up the pitch. When we're in the position we are, you've got to fight on all fronts. And, we all love ASM. He's a game changer. He's a mercurial talent. But you've still got to put the same effort in that you expect from Fraser, Murphy, or whoever's playing on the flanks. You know what I mean? You've still got to do that going backwards as well as going forwards.
Cool. Pete, would you be happy with that finish if you were finishing that one?
Yeah, look, it's a great goal. I think if you look back at Dan Burns since he signed for the club, that's the first time he's misjudged a diagonal ball over the top. He normally gets on the end of them, and he nearly did with this one. He was very, very lucky, and you could see how distraught he was when it went in, because he knew he misjudged it. And look, I'm not going to get on his back, because he was outstanding. He blocked and stopped to probably 3 or 4 or 5 chances during the game. So he's proved his worth. He proved how much he's changed his team. And look, it's the deft touch. If you play that to Timo Werner or Lukaku, it's going out for a goal kick and we get a point. It's as simple as that. But this is why they paid so much money for Kai Havertz, because he's an outstanding footballer. He is that touch kills it dead. Bang, one touch, one finish. It can be that easy for someone as talented as him, and this is why he's playing for a team like Chelsea at the top of the Premier League. But I have to say, this Newcastle team just continues to impress me week in, week out. You know, as Eddie Howe said, last night, they go from setting up their normal style to two of their players dropping out to illness, and they're having to then go with a back three rather than a midfield three. They're having to play two in midfield, two midfielders that have never really properly played together before, Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes, who I thought both were outstanding. They different types of roles. Longstaff was all action, all over the place, ran himself into the ground. Bruno Guimaraes did a job today, and his job was to stop N'Golo Kante getting on the ball and having to dictate the play like he wanted to. He did not get an inch in that game. It's because of Bruno Guimaraes' positioning in the game. He was very, very good, and it's a sign of an absolute top player. Go into one of those big games and not necessarily be able to play his own game, but tactically be aware to play a certain role for the team and play it very, very well. He was outstanding. I have to give props to Jacob Murphy. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch, not just in our team. And the reason being is because he played that pressing role to an absolute T on that left-hand side. They did not allow anyone, any moment, whether it's the goalkeeper, the centre backs, the wing backs, any time on the ball, because he just pressed so well, so hard for like 90, however minutes he was on the pitch. And you know what? He's had a lot of stick, Jacob Murphy, but I thought tactically he was spot on today, and he was really, really good. And actually, it proved to be that he was very, very dangerous within the game. And Miguel Almiron was exactly the same. And actually, I was partly a little bit disappointed when he came off, Miguel Almiron, because I thought he was having a really good game and he was helping with that press. Jamal Lascelles came in and was seamless. You know, a couple of misplaced passes, but you know, for a guy that's been out the team for so long and then to be thrown into a game like Stamford, I thought he played very, very well. You know, all the regulars did exactly what I thought they would. I thought they were outstanding. And it was just such a good performance. And tactically, to see us play a different style of football, set up differently. That was the old Rafa Benitez, Steve Bruce style. But you would have never known it. You would have never known it.
Definitely not.
It's a different,
and it's
same formation, but completely different commitment.
It just goes to show that, like, you know, when Man City revert to a back three and play that formation, when Chelsea set up in that back three and they play that formation, you think, wow, they're fantastic. And it just goes to show that with the right tactics and the right manager, that you can implement that formation at Newcastle United and be just as effective. And it was so good to see. Really, really good. You know, I can't fault the team. I thought they were brilliant today. And you know what? Although we lost, I've taken so much confidence from that performance today, because I think we play anything like that on Thursday, we pick up 3 points.
Yeah, I think the other. Sorry, Daz. I think the other thing to remember with that is that was without 6 to 7 first team players.
Yeah,
no Wilson, no Shelby, no Joe Linton, no Fraser,
Joe Willett,
no Trippier. No Willock. So, you know, if you stripped 7 key first teamers away from Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Everton, Spurs, Liverpool, any of those, you don't get that performance that we got from our lads today. And I think for me, that was the real encouraging thing that makes me think that we can get points right till the end of this season and that our safety is not going to be a problem, because it's that same commitment and effort from fringe players, for want of a better word, coming into that team with the same desire, the same press and the same hunger that's obviously being driven right throughout the team from Eddie, Jason Tyndall and the rest of the staff.
I'm going to go back to Pete again, because you'd started kind of going for your answer, Pete, on the man of the match. So who are you going to give man of the match to?
For me, I don't think it's right. I mean, look, goal aside, I don't think anyone would argue against giving it to Dan Burn, because I thought he was outstanding again. He's just become such an important player to this team. But you know, I'll give it to Jacob Murphy. just because, I think he deserves a pat on the back for his performances recently. In particular today, I thought he terrorised Chelsea at times with his pressing and not allowing them time on the ball. Very, very good to see an improved performance from him.
Richie, man of the match for you.
I actually thought Jamie Carragher was actually going to say this literally before the mistake of goal, but I'm still going to go to him. I thought he was hands down fantastic for us today. To be fair, him and Shaw were phenomenal again, but it's got to be Dan Burn. As I touched on before, to play that good after suffering the head injuries he had for that length of time, still win everything that came in. He was sometimes getting caught out of position and he was covering for whoever was on the right-hand side, or he was getting drawn out to the left and he was winning balls out on the left as well. It was just a phenomenal effort again. If he'd been here from the start of the season, he would probably be given...
Bruce would have had him fucked if he had been, so thank God he's not.
No, I think if he'd been at the club longer, I think he'd probably be pushing Joe Linton for possibly player of the season, with the way he's been playing since he's come in.
He could still do that. Richie.
He could still, but to be fair, I think that would be probably a bit harsh on J7. To be fair,
I was a little bit pointed with the Brazilian call-ups. I thought Big Joe might be in there. I was heading to Galway to get that tattoo with Daz.
And they have to be player of the tournament and top goal scorer in the World Cup. Martin,
Daz has changed.
That was also the rules. Martin, your man of the match.
Yeah, look, I thought Dan Burn was class along with Shaw. Similar Lascelles, a couple of misplaced passes, but I think the back five were great. But I'm going to go slightly differently, and I'm going to give it to Bruno, purely on the fact that he was with a completely different midfield partner, only his second game, and I thought he did not give Kante the lickings of a dog's ball. So I thought he was top player for us today, did the job that he was required to do, kept a really, really top player in Kante quiet. And even when Kante did finally get past him, he took the foul and took one for the team. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to Bruno because I think he did really well in the middle of that park, considering the midfield that they have. And just very, very quickly, I did get a DM earlier in the day from Lee Errington, who does watch the show. I know he's in the chat. Made some really good points. I said I would give him a shout out. Just a couple of the points he said, we need to remember 6 key players out. The game against Chelsea was pretty much a free hit. Nobody really expected us to go there other than us and do something. To come off the back of the run that we've had and only lose by what we did in a game the way it was is completely unfair. 6 key players out. Let's put Everton to bed on Thursday and then start to focus on next season. Shouldn't fear any team, and plaudits have to be given not only to the additions but more so to the continued coaching from Howe and the rest of his back team staff. We've no reason to be feared, and those who have mocked this team prior need to know that we're coming for all of them. So I said I'd give him a shout out tonight because I thought his DM was top class. So, Lee, thanks very much for the DM, mate. Much appreciated.
Nice one, Lee. Nice one, Martin. For my man of the match, I did 5 players selected. Char, Bruno, Longstaff. Whittle it down to 2. And I'm going to go... in second place was Matt Target. And I'm going to give it to Dan Burn. So, Richie, I'm joining you with Dan Burn to win it out. But... yeah, across the board, everyone played well, and as Lee had said, a free hit, and look at our first defeat in 10. We would have taken that at the start of January, and back when we were talking to those Chelsea fans, peace was just gone. We would have taken that then for sure. But yeah, look I want to bring up the table and just see where we are now as well. So 1 sec, and I share that screen for the table. Here we go. Can you see that now? Yeah. So, as you can see, we are still remain on 31 points. Watford won today, didn't they?
Yeah, 2-0
win at Southampton.
2-1, yeah, so yeah.
And Leeds bet Norwich.
Leeds bet Norwich 2-1 as well.
2-1, yeah. Norwich thought that salvaged a point in the 91st minute, and then Leeds scored in the 94th. Okay.
So yeah, as we've been saying as well, yeah, a must-win game for Everton against us. Icing on the cake if we beat them and we move well out of the danger zone. But we've we still look safe there where we are.
I think
But
the thing with
yeah,
Everton is they do need to pick up. What's Everton's games? Have they got? Is that I can't fully see that. Is that they're on 26 games? Is it?
20.
Have they got three? They've got 3 games in hand on Burnley and
They have
they've
one
got 3
game
games
in hand on
Burnley
Burnley
and Leeds. Sorry, Watford and Leeds. Sorry,
they have 3 games in hand on Burnley, on Watford and Leeds. Yeah,
Burnley
you're
have
right.
got 2 on hand to Norwich. Yeah, look, I think Norwich are pretty much,
They're gone.
I would say, gone at this stage. Burnley could still squeak out of it. I think Watford. Do you know what? Watford could be a funny one. Watford could still pull away from that. The man, the lad that was playing up front for them today, I watched the highlights. I thought he was really, really good against Southampton. Everton, I know there is an Everton lad in the chat. Everton's running is not great. I think if we put them away on Thursday night, Everton's next few games is
Martin, have you actually seen their April?
Yeah, it's shocking.
It's West Ham away, Man United at home, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home. That's their April.
Yeah,
they're all
losses on their current form.
I think Watford have got a few head-to-heads with like teams around them, so that they could, if they get one win or something like that, that puts a lot of pressure on Everton. Those players do not know what it's like to be in a relegation battle.
No. Yeah, it's a good thing that Donny van de Beek went there, so he didn't want to have a relegation battle, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, lucky for him, eh?
Okay, we'll remove the table and we'll just give a shout out to our sponsors. blackandwhitearmy.com, yes, and you might have seen on Twitter, Bronwyn has some news that she's going to be sharing pretty soon. When is she going to come back on with us, Rich? Any idea?
I haven't spoken to her yet, but she did have some good news the other day that she's had her trademark accepted. So that's good news for whichever brand that she's going ahead with. So hopefully we'll get a bit more info on that. And once we get our schedule tied down, we can get her back on a show as soon as possible.
Great.
I know that'll please Adam anyway, because he's been asking.
I was just going to say, if we don't do that shortly, Adam's going to just,
he's going to unsubscribe.
He's going to unsubscribe, yeah, exactly. That's what he's going to do.
Also, a shout out to shybarnes.com and the range of merch that Simon has there.
Simon has been in the chat tonight again, so thanks again, Simon, for joining us.
Thanks for the sponsorship, mate.
Simon. And Pins and Prints. And yeah, it was nice to see that Dean put together I don't have it here actually in the system, but the Bruno goal. He has a print now for that. It's not this one, obviously, but he has something to put together there, and he has a range of lovely designs to check out on his site.
Remember to use, if you do use anything, use the loaded mag code in the checkout, and you will save 10% on any orders you get.
That's right. It's scrolling around across the bottom of the screen.
Maybe retweet that out tonight, Rich, for people that haven't got it.
We'll do that.
Loaded tweet with the code, mate.
Okay, so that kind of brings us to the end of the show, lads. We're just coming up on the hour. We will be back during the week. We do have to sort out our schedules this week. There's a chance we will be back on Wednesday, if not before that, with Jordan for Talk of the Tune. So keep an eye on it's up on YouTube already, but it may move. So keep your eyes peeled for where it moves, if it does move. We've Pete back, I think, again. Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
We're just talking about Talk of the Tune.
I had no idea what went on there. I just the internet on my laptop, but we'll know for sure tomorrow. Talk of the Tune, and potentially away days. The Unholy Trinity Everton podcast are looking to come back and join us for away day. So we'll be finalising a time and a day to sort that out before the big game on Thursday.
Cool. Nice one. That's it, lads. We'll leave it there for tonight. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we will catch you during the week. And yeah, even though the run has come to an end, there's one man we really need to say thanks to, and that's Eddie Howe. Night all. How?
How?
Night.
No, Pete's still not doing it. Good night.